They always say that learning a new language is like getting a brand new pair of eyes, right? A totally fresh lens through which to view the world. Well, welcome to this explainer, because today we are going to look through a truly fascinating lens, the Kazakh language. We're going to trace the linguistic journey of Kazakh, exploring a highly curated vocabulary list that uses a really unique phonetic QAZ Latin transliteration system. And we aren't just looking at random vocabulary words today. We are literally decoding a culture, tracing it from its ancient nomadic roots out on the Great Steppe, all the way to its modern digital reality. Okay, let's take a quick look at the agenda. We're structuring this explainer like a linguistic pyramid. 1. The foundations of Kazakh. 2. Navigating the physical world. 3. The mind and abstract thought. And 4. Nomadic heritage and culture. We're going to climb from the basic building blocks of survival all the way up to the rich philosophy of the steppe. So, let's jump straight into Section 1, the foundations of Kazakh, the building blocks of connection. At the absolute base of our pyramid, every language needs its building blocks, the most foundational words required for human connection and just daily survival. Simple greetings like salam for hello and kalajsiag for how are you establish an immediate bond between people. And right alongside those greetings is our immediate universe. Ana for mother, Aike for father, and dos for friend. These aren't just vocabulary words. They're the social gravity that literally holds a person's world together. Now, once those bonds are established, we begin to map out our physical space. And like in any language, we navigate through contrast. We've got foundational descriptive opposites here, Whelan for big and Kishi for small. It's simply the most basic way human beings start to categorize the overwhelming physical environment around them. But the absolute core of interaction, even before you can negotiate or debate anything, comes down to affirmation and negation. Jayi means yes, zhao means no. It is the binary code of human interaction, the ultimate starting point for setting boundaries and finding agreement. Moving right along to Section 2, navigating the physical world, from nature to modernity. Okay, now that we can greet each other and establish some basic boundaries, let's step outside. Notice how deeply connected this vocabulary is to the vast outdoors. The Great Steppe is defined by its massive, sweeping geography. Words like Tau for mountain, Orman for forest, and Uizen for river really ground us in the earth. But then you look up and you have Asman, the sky. Together, all these elements make up the Zerbeteri, the landscape. You can almost feel the expansiveness of Central Asia just by taking in these foundational nouns. But before we move further into the modern world, we absolutely need to focus on this single, incredibly powerful word, din salik, which means health. In literally any culture, survival dictates priority, right? And the physical well-being of the individual is absolutely paramount to the survival of the community. And what's really fascinating is how that single concept of densoluk expands out into a vital daily vocabulary. You've got auru for illness and dara for medicine, but it also scales up to institutional modern health, emkhana for clinic, and the urgent jedel jardem for ambulance. It even encompasses modern wellness, like living at salawati or healthy lifestyle. It just shows a language perfectly equipped to handle ancient ailments and modern medical infrastructure alike. Which naturally brings up a super interesting question. How exactly does an ancient nomadic language adapt to the modern world? Does it just borrow everything from English or Russian, or does it invent new words from its own ancient roots? Well, here's our answer. The language completely bridges the millennia. It places hypermodern concepts like Jajasandi Anjasana for artificial intelligence and Galamator for the internet right alongside modes of modern physical travel like the Pogias for train and Ushak for airplane, and of course the Ujali telephone, the mobile phone. The language didn't just survive, it evolved, creating a highly specific native vocabulary for the 21st century. All right, let's climb a bit higher up the pyramid to Section 3, the mind and abstract thought, focusing on philosophy and society. Leaving the physical world behind us, societal pillars are formed by contrasting fundamental abstract concepts. We see this beautifully illustrated here with shindik, meaning truth, placed directly against uoitidik, meaning a lie. Just as we needed big and small to navigate the physical world earlier, we need truth and deception to navigate the moral and intellectual world. Just take a moment to marvel at the depth of the philosophical vocabulary we're dealing with here.
We aren't just talking about everyday ideas anymore. We are looking at profound concepts. Minagilic, meaning eternity. Donalik, for wisdom. Bulmis, which translates to being or existence itself. We even have Akshkat, for absolute truth, and Eshtegne, for nothingness. This completely shatters any misconception that nomadic languages are purely utilitarian. There is a deep, contemplative soul here.
And these abstract thoughts, they eventually scale up to form the collective identity of the nation. It bridges Golgam, the society or the physical grouping of people, with Medinjet, the culture, which represents the shared mind, art, and traditions of that society. But to actually express these complex ideas, you need linguistic architecture. Advanced connectors act as the structural glue for deep intellectual discourse. Words like sol sebibti for therefore, azirase for especially, sondada for nevertheless, and kereshinshe for conversely. These are the crucial tools that allow for nuanced, sophisticated debate and reasoning.
And finally, we reach the peak of our journey, Section 4, Nomadic Heritage and Culture, the true soul of the steppe.
We've seen the basics, the modern adaptations, and the abstract philosophy. Now let's look at the highly specific words that encapsulate the nomadic heritage. These terms aren't just describing mere objects. They represent entire institutions. The Kajai's yurt, or yurt, is the center of the nomadic universe. Its top dome, the Shagnarak, is so culturally significant it's actually featured on the national emblem. And alongside the physical home is the musical home. The dombra, the traditional instrument used to play the kuj, a traditional soul-stirring composition. Together, these serve as the physical and musical frameworks of nomadic life.
Okay, we need to slow down for a second because this is where language gets incredibly specific to its environment. Tebumdu, meaning grazing under snow. It's a single word that describes the action of horses or livestock literally digging through winter snow with their hooves just to find grass. It perfectly captures the harsh, phrasing yet remarkably resilient reality of pastoral survival on the steppe. You simply don't have a word for this unless your life absolutely depends on it.
In a complete tonal shift, the joyous social fabric of the culture is reflected in sujin shishi. This is a highly specific word for a gift given to someone in exchange for them delivering good news. It shows a society that highly values community, joy, and the tangible rewarding of positive social interaction. Now, I want you to lock this number in your mind as we introduce one of the most critical foundational concepts in Kazakh culture. The number 7 is about to take on a massive new meaning. Enter Jetiyata, which literally translates to the 7 ancestors. This represents a profound, multi-generational respect for genealogy, lineage, and personal honor. Historically, knowing your Jetiyata was essential to prevent intermarriage within close clans, but culturally, it grounds every individual in a deep historical continuum. You are not just you are the culmination of the 7 who came before you. To wrap up our ascent to the peak, look at how the seasonal rhythm and ancient tools of the steppe are preserved here. The life of the nomad is a cycle, migrating or kweish from the Jalu, the summer mountain pastures, down to the Quisau, the winter camps. They travel with their otar, their large flocks of sheep, guided by the kamji, the traditional whip. It is an entire self-sustaining world captured in just a handful of terms. So, as we conclude this explainer, I'll leave you to ponder this. How does learning these highly specific cultural words change your perspective on Central Asia? We've gone from basic greetings to AI, from deep philosophy to grazing under the winter snow. Unlocking these words acts as a direct, unfiltered cultural lens into the fascinating, resilient, and deeply philosophical worldview of the Kazakh people. Thanks for joining me on this linguistic journey, and I really hope it sparked your curiosity to go out and learn even more.